that we should start a session on Bhashani and Nap with the national anthem of Pakistan. I think that irony was lost on whoever chose to insist that we should have it play. Thank you to the organizers for organizing this. I will very briefly what I would have thought would be sort of the way we can have this. I mean, primarily Layli's going to give us a presentation of about 20 minutes, so that will constitute the majority of what we do, and then we will maybe go back a little bit between the two of us, and then hopefully get as many of you involved as possible. Just very briefly, I think that the chances are that aside from a handful of you who are familiar with the history of the National Awami Party and generally of especially ethnic nationalist politics in this country. Other than that, the vast majority of people probably don't realize that this was the one political organization that had, perhaps more than any other political organization, a robust and meaningful presence in both wings of Pakistan. And I think that is saying a great deal for a country that historically has struggled desperately to create a sense of unity and cohesion. The reason I put that out there is because what we're going to talk about today, I think, has great relevance for the contemporary the contemporary challenges that this country faces as well. Urdu better hai? I mean, Urdu main to kar sakta hu. I'm not sure that she's going to be able to do Urdu, so main thoda zarur. Okay, so जो अभी एक पूरी अवाम का समंदर आ रहा है इस कमरे के अंदर, उसका मेरा ख्याल है इंतज़ार कर लेते हैं इससे पहले कि we get Layli off the ground so that we don't face too many interruptions. Okay, so we'll have you perhaps do your presentation, yeah? And then we'll take it from there. Yes? Over to you.
This. Okay, thank you to the Quaid-e-Azam organizers. It's good to be here. I'm glad to see that Bhashani can still mobilize people, but perhaps not in the numbers that he used to. I think most people, the natural expectation is when we have a Bangladeshi in Pakistan, that one anticipates a talk around 1971, a talk of hurt, betrayal, deaths, trauma, loss, gain, and reparations, apologies, and tactics. Perhaps a talk on India and Pakistan. And whilst those are necessary conversations and ones that must continue in Pakistan, in both Pakistan and Bangladesh, because, as Walter Benjamin once said, our redemption, in fact, our humanity and our liberation lies in the recovery of all of our histories, even the most contempt and the most reviled and rejected parts of it. But what I want to do today is I want to talk about something different. It's not only a war that these two countries shared. There was a politics as well at one point and a practice that involved speaking truth to power, that refused to be strangled or choked off by the might of the state, and a practice of decolonization, anti-imperialism, and freedom that manifested itself in the form of a figure like Bhashani and in the form of political party like National Awami Party. The PowerPoint presentation, I think it would be unfair to start a talk without Bhashani, without seeing a bit of Bhashani. So if we could play some clips which haven't been seen before or have been seen rarely of the Tobatek conference in March 1970, one of the largest Kisan conferences in Punjab, being presided over, or the chief guest being an East Bengali figure. We have no sound. It's one of those very sad and tragic things about discovering material, that there's always something missing, and really when it comes to a left sort of a rally or assembly, what you do need is sounds, but you see the red flags, you see the people moving, and These are not just, I mean, there's peasants, there's workers, and that's Bhashani being carried onto the stage. I think the quality is not great, so anyway. I'll let the video continue playing. So I'm delighted that we're talking about Bhashani a lot more than we used to. But I do have to ask the question, why? What is it that Bhashani offers us as historians, social, political scientists, and activists at this particular moment in time? Regardless of what the answer is, there's a hope that builds within me, and this might be a false spring. But nonetheless, the other question that I have, and perhaps I'll answer it, leave it for later, is of what it means and whether it is a good thing that Bhashani has moved from far more clandestine, subversive, non-elite political conversations and settings to one such as this. For those who heard of Maulana Bhashani, otherwise known as the Red Maulana, and if they, there's very few of us, and for those who have, it's often a very vague memory or vague sort of knowledge that they have. It's okay. I've reconciled myself to the fact that very few people have heard of Bhashani, but it is quite remarkable that a man like Bhashani, a heavyweight figure in South Asian politics, has not merited much scholarly or academic attention, especially since this is a person who has outlived most of his contemporaries and those younger than him. Born in 1885 and having died in 1976, Bhashani outlived Gandhi, Jinnah, Ambedkar, and even Mujib, the founding father of Bangladesh. Bhashani's career spanned the colonial and the post-colonial period. He lived through 3 partitions, various famines, and several wars. This was a man whose travels took him to the Chors, the sandbank islands of Assam and Bengal, to addressing Mughal-Para railway workers in Lahore, to sharing a political platform, with personalities such as Castro at the Tricontinental Conference in Cuba in 1966, supporting the cause of Afro-Asian solidarity and the Vietnamese guerrilla warfare. But more importantly, he was the leader of the Assam Provincial Muslim League at the height of Pakistan movement, and then the founder and president of 2 of the most powerful, if not leading opposition political parties of a united Pakistan, the Awami League Party and the National Awami Party. The National Awami Party, whose birth Ajoy Ghosh, the member of the Communist Party of India, described as an event of historic import for the Pakistan people. A controversial statement. Now, this is a controversial statement that I'm going to make, but if I was to argue an all-Pakistan figure after Jinnah, then it was perhaps Maulana Bhashani, a man who, unlike other leaders in Pakistan, that Pakistan produced, was able to secure the influence and confidence of the people in both wings at a mass level and over a prolonged period, which did not begin or end with NAP. If we take, for example, in 1956, as soon as Bhashani broke his 16-day fast, after President Iskandar Mirza and the central government conceded to his demands of 30 crores to extend the rationing program of the large-scale distribution of food grains in Bengal, he turned his attention to the evicted and landless peasants of Lahore. The Awami Jamhoor Party, leading the Lahore tenants movement, sent a telegram to Bhashani in which he was urged to come over to West Pakistan and to help the underdogs, as he had helped the fellow brethren in East Pakistan. But Bhashani is also a memory that continues to generate possibilities, desires, hopes in South Asia and actually beyond, in classes that other leaders have found difficult and unwilling to access. So why has there been a silence around Bhashani? And where is the silence? If you were to read Sunil Kilnani's recent book, Incarnations, and looked at the map in which he plots the 50 most influential lives that made the continent, in fact, possibly India, you would think that East Bengal, Balochistan, and Sindh, or leaders on the periphery, had not produced figures of any relevance or anyone whose reach could extend further beyond their familiar words. So in other words, these leaders in the periphery were irrelevant to our understanding of the ebbs and flows of major political, social, political, and intellectual changes in history. Now, what I say in response to this is that the actors and sites of production of history are not neutral. Histories are filled with silences, they're filled with and denial. Historians are not by any means objective or impartial storytellers of the world around us, what has passed and what has come to be. Their reading is determined by interests, assumptions, biases, privilege, which circumscribe the stories they tell us. That is possibly why we've read more on Gandhi and less on Ambedkar, Bhashani. Historians, to a certain extent, have agreed with the scorn and ridicule and condescension that we find of Bhashani in the official archives and elsewhere. When I was looking at the US and the UK archives, as well as the Bangladesh and the Assam archives, I find that it's replete with instances of politicians, journalists, and members of the intelligentsia of both wings of Pakistan offering up information to officials on Bhashani's illiteracy, his ignorance, his rusticity, his irrationality, on him being crude, vulgar, violent, not really a Maulana, not really a communist, amongst many other things, when conversations turn to his assessments of power. Now, historians have often ended up agreeing with those assessments, despite the fact that if you listen closely, and I mean listen closely to others, you will find that Bhashani has also been spoken of and remembered in other terms. He is, in Bangladesh, remembered as the Majloom Jononeta, the leader of the oppressed in Bangladesh, as the man who presided over one of the largest Kisan conferences in Punjab, who, quoting Iqbal, told the people to burn the land that does not feed them. One who has been remembered at home and in working class diasporas as an equal to Che Guevara, to Ella Baker, the civil rights activists, to Malcolm X, and then in the dreams of Bengali murid farmers murids, as the man who flew over boats, who flew over trees on a boat with a pack of tigers to visit them and to tell them what the next andolan, the next struggle should be. And the next struggle, he tells them, is the struggle on electricity and energy. So what is it that historians have missed out on? The historians have missed out on the birth of the National Awami Party, which happened in the most spectacular of circumstances. In 1956, Awami League was at the height of its power, the only time that this would happen in a united Pakistan. Despite its position as a minority member of the coalition at the center, the Awami League held the majority and most important of cabinet positions. Besides being the Prime Minister, Sohrawardi, one of the leaders of the Awami League party, held a hefty 7 portfolios. But it would be confronted at that point with its biggest crisis, a split. And it would be a split over foreign policy. The first time that this would happen to a party that was not explicitly communist. Sohrawardi, a member of Bhashani's party, reaffirmed his commitment to bilateral and multilateral member agreements, security agreements, the SEATO, the Baghdad Pact, reneging on the party's initial promises of securing the support of middle-class students and urban intelligentsia. But what Maulana Bhashani does is that he organizes a village mela, a festival, as part of the council convention to make a case for internationalism. For Bhashani, the question of foreign policy was not external to the politics of the people, but intimately tied to the questions of sovereignty, to power and the fate of Pakistan. After all, the people whom he had referred to as masters could not be rightfully considered as such, whilst tied into these asymmetrical relationships of power, with the possibility of being drawn into wars that were not of their making. Bhashani used the Mela in Gagmari to draw in the marginalized and destitute classes. He used festival gates, music, art, lectures to convey messages of friendship, cooperation, and solidarity with the Afro-Asian bloc. For example, over 100 gates were set up with those attending the festival passed by. Each of these gates had the names of various local, national, and international leaders emblazoned on them, like Mao, Abraham, Lincoln, Gandhi, Subhash Bose, Rumi, Bernard Shaw, Haji Shariatullah, Jinnah, and the Prophet. There was no attempt made to separate individuals and endow ornamental or hierarchical privilege on the basis of religion, nation, language, or geography. Rather, what was being asked of peasants and workers for whom most of these names would have been unfamiliar, other than that of the Prophet and Jinnah, and perhaps a handful of others, was to reflect on the connections and the unities between the different geographies, languages, traditions, practices, and ideas. Bhashani argued at the conference in Gagmari that Pakistan needed economic development, but it was not to be achieved on riding the tailcoats of, as he described it, the Talpi Bahok, the porters of imperial powers such as United States over Britain. Dignity and freedom, he argued, was to be restored through social relationships, networks, and exchanges in which nations were co-equals and shared an obligation to maintaining that particular language of dignity, and it should be defended. Any threat to their freedom should be defended. For Bhashani, it was through friendship with newly independent countries within the Asian Africa bloc that the power of imperialism could be weakened, and Bhashani could achieve where Pakistan could achieve genuine freedom and peace. While Suhrawardi would eventually win this argument, not necessarily at Gagmari, and Bhashani would lose, there were others who agreed with him on this idea of dignity, fraternity, equality, of people as sovereigns, and as Bhashani called them, as architects of their own future. These were people like the frontier Gandhi, G.M. Syed, also Balochi leaders, Prince Abdul Karim, Ghaus Bakhsh, Bisenjo, Atullah Mengal, the Pashtun leader Abdul Samad Khan Achakzai, and communist leaders such as Sir Islam, who gathered in July 1957 at the All Pakistan Democratic Workers' Convention at the Roop Mahal Cinema in Dhaka. These were men who had campaigned and fought against the British Raj and some for Pakistan, but after the birth of Pakistan found themselves being described as anti-Pakistan, secessionists, and those provincialists. But their struggle and their desire for land reform, for labor rights, for democratizations of institutions, free and independent foreign policy, and Afro-Asian cooperation were now the ties that bound them to one another within both wings into a relationship of solidarity and cooperation, and hence defined their struggle as a very Pakistani one. Theirs was an all-Pakistani unity in their opposition, which was not there for parties that claimed to be pro-Pakistan. Suhrawardi's earlier claims at Gagmari that opposition to the Defense Pact and the issues of internationalism was indefensible and limited in its support rang hollow at the NAP Convention, where leaders from the different provinces agreed that the foreign policy and defense pacts were not a non-issue, but one that impeded the reality of a fully free, sovereign and federal Pakistan. Bhashani declared in his welcome address at the convention, "We believe that our existence and our sovereignty is imperiled, that our progress has been obstructed. Currently, we are living in the nuclear age at a time when human civilization is confronted with its own destruction. However, it is also a time when we might be able to eliminate all possibilities of war by extending that hand of friendship and assist others to help reduce the misunderstanding of those who are day and night building and increasing the nuclear arsenal." Bhashani, regarded by his opponents as illiterate, rustic, and rabble-rouser, was actually someone quite contrary to what he had been perceived. The birth of the National Awami Party labeled Bhashani in the press and by others in opposition. He was the Dalal, he was the Indian agent, he was the Hanuman and communist. But Bhashani was unconcerned by these epithets given to him in a response to a question of whether he was whether he was a communist or a Maulana by a journalist, Bhashani replied, "If you think my life and my thinking matches with that of a communist, then that is neither a matter of joy or sadness. If you two join hands with the enemies of equality, friendship, and freedom, then there is no escape from you, from my hands, none of you. However, if it fits my ideas, and if anyone wants to take part in the struggle, I will delightedly take him into my embrace. Is the hunger only in the stomach of the communists? Are they the only ones demanding medicines for the ill, homes for the homeless, and education for those deprived of education? Queen Elizabeth, stricken with hunger, will also want food. Will you call her a communist? If an innocent, naive child is hungry, and he will cry and want food, but will you call the one who makes the demand for food a communist?" Bhashani was someone genuinely invested in the politics and practice of independence, and this was seen in the way he brokered alliances between party workers who were both Murids and Marxists or of a left disposition. In the 1960s, Bhashani innovated with the spiritual oath that his religious followers signed up to. He added between the usual articles of faith in God, the Prophet, and the Sufi peer itself, the pledge to establish socialism, to end imperialism and capitalism. The oath was to make a Marxist out of a disciple and the Marxist a disciple, as he brought them into the mosques and the Murids out into the world. Their common purpose had not only made both groups acceptable to each other, but had also endowed both with an equal standing and the right to enter into the same space and to participate using a shared language. Bhashani was also the man who could potentially unite both wings, challenge the leadership of those at the center and in the province, and so help bring about transformative change in Pakistan. Bhashani was also, more importantly, seen as someone who was able to communicate, organize, and mobilize specific constituencies within those provinces and bring them under the banner of the new party. Bhashani's leadership offers us valuable insights. The story of a united Pakistan should not just be dominated by narratives of a military-industrial complex, of cityscapes, of Ayub, Mujib, wars and deaths and failures, but one where people actually dreamed and they strove for a liberation that was expansive, that was inclusive and imaginative, and the different possibilities, desires, and hopes that people dreamed, that was unafraid to take on the might of the state, and that at one point in our lifetimes threatened to overwhelm the state with its subversion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned at the outset,
Yes, I do follow.
जैसे शुरू में जिक्र हुआ था, नेशनल अवामी पार्टी की जो तारीख़ है या नेशनल अवामी पार्टी की पर बात करना कोई यानी कि एक ऐसी चीज़ नहीं है जो कि कोई सिर्फ माजी का एक हवाला है, बल्कि अगर if you look at the last thing that Layli just said about imagining or positing a politics that brings people together around an idea that is expansive and exclusive and inclusive, वो आज की भी एक बहुत शदीद किस्म की ज़रूरत है, और इसलिए हमें काफ़ी हद तक इस पर सोचने की ज़रूरत है कि ये जो 40, 45, 50 साल गुज़रे हैं, Layli ne kaha ki we don't know enough about Bhashani. Frankly, we don't know very much about our history in general. आज भी ईस्ट पाकिस्तान का जो एक सारा किस्सा है हमारी तारीख़ में, वो तकरीबन हम जो नौजवान होते हैं वो जिस हद बिल्कुल मतलब ये भी नहीं कहा जा सकता कि एक हद तक इसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं। मैं तो समझता हूँ कि बिल्कुल इसके बारे में कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ते, सिवाय एक चीज़ उनको पढ़ने को मिलती है या सोचने को मिलती है कि जी हिंदुस्तान की साजिश थी और बस वो चला गया और बस उसके बाद फिर हमने बल्ले बल्ले फिर से कर दिया और उन साजिशों को फिर नाकाम करने में हम लग गए. So I think Bhashani, as was pointed out, is a figure that forces us to think about this very carefully. इस मौके पर तो बात नहीं हुई, but actually I remember the last time I heard you speak, it was sort of the angle you took at that time was more about how in fact within an independent Bangladesh there's a need to challenge official historiography there. तो ये जो हम रियासतों के और मुल्कों की जो तारीख जब लिखते हैं तो ये आम सी बात है, कोई भी मुल्क हो, ये पाकिस्तान हो या जनूबी एशिया का कोई और मुल्क हो या अमेरिका हो या ब्रिटानिया हो, तो वो तारीख हमेशा उसमें से मोटी मोटी बहुत सारी बातें निकाल दी जाती हैं जो उस नैरेटिव को फिट नहीं करती और जो एक मतलब रिवायती तस्वर के तहत नहीं होती. And I think that हमारे केस में I think the reason why I think that we should spend a lot more time talking or thinking about the National Awami Party is precisely because it was the one party. वैसे तो हम 60 और 70 की दिहाई के बारे में सोचते हैं तो हमारे जहन में पीपल्स पार्टी आती है, लेकिन पीपल्स पार्टी से बहुत पहले नैप थी. और नैप की पीपल्स पार्टी का तो अगर आपको याद होगा या नहीं याद होगा तो पीपल्स पार्टी की जो मशहूरी थी या मकबूलियत थी वो पंजाब और सिंध तक महदूद थी. And in 1970 in the western wing it was the National Awami Party in alliance, in coalition with in some cases religious parties that formed governments in the erstwhile NWFP and Balochistan. तो ये सिर्फ ईस्ट पाकिस्तान की भी कहानी नहीं है और सिर्फ वेस्ट पाकिस्तान की भी कहानी नहीं, बल्कि ये एक ऐसी कहानी है कि जो कि अगर आज आप पाकिस्तान के सियासी मंजरनामे को देखेंगे तो आप साबका इलेक्शन में देखें तो आपको मालूम होगा कि कोई हर सूबे में अलग अलग पार्टी जीती है. और सिंध में तो आपको ऐसे मिलेगा कि सिंध के अंदर एक पार्टी दही सिंध से जीत रही है और एक पार्टी अर्बन सिंध से जीत रही है. बाकी मुस्लिम लीग पंजाब से जीत रही है, PTI पख्तूनख्वा से जीत रही है. बलोचिस्तान में तो अल्लाह खैर करे कोई पार्टी अगर हो भी जाए तो उसका हशर हो जाता है. So the question that I think that, you know, what I want to take up from what Layli said is got to do with this question of the nation. Because the project to build a nation or a nation building project, which आप किसी हद तक कह सकते हैं कि पाकिस्तान का अभी भी उतना ही बड़ा सवाल है जितना का उस वक्त था. तो हमारे यहाँ तो वो सवाल उसकी बुनियादी मुझे लगता है, वैसे तो हम लाहौर में बैठे हुए हैं और अक्सर लाहौरियों को लगता है कि सारे लोग पाकिस्तानी क्यों नहीं हो सकते, पश्तून और सिंधी और बलोच और बंगाली अपने आप को क्यों कहते हैं. और उसकी वजह यही है, in a way not dissimilar to the question of class, which is also something which was fundamental to what Bhashani was doing, कि सब बराबर नहीं हैं. और इसीलिए ये बात आती है कि सब बराबर नहीं हैं तो हम ऐसी पॉलिटिक्स करें जिसमें सब बराबर हो सकें. और ये जो हमारी कौम की तारीफ़ है, अभी भी हम इस चपकिलिश में से नहीं निकले कि हम अपनी कौम की तारीफ़ एक ऐसे अंदाज़ में करते हैं जिसका शायद यहाँ के हक़ाइक़ से शायद ताल्लुक़ हो या ना हो, इस पर सोचने की ज़रूरत है. And I think the great tragedy of the story in some ways of Bhashani and the National Awami Party is precisely that individuals like Bhashani, like some of the others that Layli was mentioning, you know, it could be Bacha Khan, Wali Khan, Samad Khan Achakzai, GM Sayyid, these are all individuals who are sort of evicted from the official history of this country. हालांकि बंगाल और सिंध बल्कि वो दो इलाके थे, खित्ते थे जिनके अंदर मुस्लिम लीग कम अज़ कम तकसीम से पहले उस वक्त सफरेज कितनी थी और वोट कितनी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव था या नहीं था वो एक अलग बहस है. लेकिन बहरहाल और आप देखते हैं कि जूं ही 47 के बाद वही मुस्लिम लीग उन्हीं दो जगहों में ठीक मतलब जुक्तू फ्रंट वन in 54. So within 7 years, the Muslim League had lost all of its legitimacy, and there was another claimant to representing the people of East Pakistan. And the question is why? Or why GM Sayyid, who ran the Sindh Muslim League, within 3 years of the formation of Pakistan, had उसने हाथ धो लिए थे. क्या उसकी वजह ये थी कि उसको किसी ने खरीद लिया था, या वो पैदाइशी गद्दार था, या उसकी वजह वो मतलब पाकिस्तान के क़याम के बाद वो जो ख्वाब जिसका एक हवाले से what Layli is also talking about, that dream had perished insofar as that dream existed, a country that could be inclusive of all ethnic nations, obviously of all classes, and it was sufficiently clear that that wasn't happening. But that didn't mean that any of these individuals, Bhashani included, उन्होंने शुरू दिन से कहा जी हमारी छुट्टी है. उन्होंने 25-30 साल सियासत की, पाकिस्तान के दायरे के अंदर रहकर सियासत की. And as again, whether some of you have followed this history or not, वो मार्च 1971 तक पाकिस्तान की सियासत कर रहे थे. और वो एक मतलब एक उनको इलेक्टोरल मैंडेट मिला, नैप का नहीं. This is something I think is important to bear in mind. Bhashani didn't stand for the elections in 1970. Formally, on the face of it, was because of the cyclone and because there was a huge catastrophe in East Pakistan. That's a different history, and of course there's a lot of questions around why. Why did that space, why was it given to Mujib and the Awami League? And why didn't they run for election, and why didn't Bhashani and the National Awami Party run for election in 1970? There's also other stories that, of course, those of you who are interested would discuss in a longer debate about the fact that NAP itself broke into two halves, two parts. Bhashani was the head of one, and Wali Khan was the head of another sort of wing or faction of the NAP. These are all sort of details of that history. But what I'm trying to suggest to you is that, which is where you started, we don't even know the alif be pe of this history. We're so, and that's not a question of, that's not something that we are at fault for. That's in large part because we're not exposed to that history. We're not given stuff to read about. In fact, it's quite conveniently sort of left out when we think about these histories. So, I just wanted to sort of put out there that this question of nationhood, of inclusiveness, of what politics is, हम तो एक ऐसे दौर में कि अब आप नौजवान जो बैठे हैं वो तो politics खुद के बारे में ही इतने cynical हो चुके हैं कि मतलब अब ये तसव्वुर भी करना कि एक ऐसी politics है जिसमें आपकी दिलचस्पी है, जिसमें मुख्तलिफ मतलब इस मुल्क में रहने वाले लोगों की एक ऐसी पॉलिटिक्स हो सकती है जिसमें हम सब इकट्ठे हो सकते हैं. This is actually a huge challenge at the current conjuncture. And in the 60s and 70s it was probably less of a challenge. And I think the example of Toba Tek Singh is a very good one, because this is the heart of Punjab, and Bhashani is there, and just about everyone who is anyone is there, and this suggests that a politics that is popular in Punjab is not necessarily impossible to reconcile with the politics that is popular outside of Punjab, which in our current conjuncture often feels like a real challenge. I mean, अगर आज के आप हालात देखेंगे तो ये जो खींचातानी आपको नज़र आती है आए रोज़ अखबारात में और टीवी पे, वो भी पंजाब से बाहर तो ये तस्वर है कि ये पंजाब की लड़ाई है, कि जो इमरान और नवाज शरीफ भी लड़ रहे हैं ये भी पंजाब के ऊपर ही लड़ाई हो रही है. What does it do for us? What does it mean for us? Now that may be more perception than reality, but आखिरकार politics में perception बहुत matter करती है. And the fact that you can have an individual like Bhashani, who can sort of make his appeal or an appeal to a wide array of ethnic groups, of poor and disenfranchised across both wings, who can also dress up his politics in a way that is consistent with खैर वो रेड मौलाना हम उसको कहते भी थे, लेकिन उसको भी इस्लाम और पाकिस्तान का दुश्मन बहुत ही कहा जाता था. तो ये कोई इतनी खैर आजकल तो बेचारे नौजवान जो हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान की दोस्ती करते हैं वो गायब भी हो जाते हैं. तो ये कोई इतनी ऐसी बात भी नहीं है कि हम समझ नहीं सकते कि ये बातें उसी तरह चली आ रही हैं जो उस वक्त, बल्कि उस वक्त के सियासी कारकुनों के लिए कम से कम ये गनीमत थी कि वो गायब नहीं होते थे, वो जेल में बंद हो जाते थे. अब तो ये एक बुनियादी सवाल है कि आप बंदा सोचते हैं यार जेल जाना बेहतर है इस तरह होने से. एंड बट व्हाट दैट रिफ्लेक्ट्स इज दैट द स्टेट इज स्टिल जस्ट एक चिमड़ी हुई एक ऐसे नेशन बिल्डिंग प्रोजेक्ट से जो फेल हो चुका है. बता आप इस पे गौर करें कि ये वाहिद दुनिया का मुल्क है जिसमें आधी से ज़्यादा आबादी ने अस्सलाम अलैकुम कहकर खुदा हाफिज कह दिया, और उसके 45 साल बाद भी मतलब चलो यार मुजीब के बारे में ना सही, भाषानी के बारे में भी तो हम पढ़ सकते हैं ना, बट भाषानी के बारे में भी नहीं पढ़ सकते, मुजीब के बारे में भी नहीं पढ़ सकते, उस सारी कहानी के बारे में हम नहीं सोच सकते, क्योंकि हम आज भी 45 साल बाद कहते हैं कि जी अगर आप XYZ किस्म की बातें करेंगे तो आप गद्दार हैं, आप मुल्क के दुश्मन हैं, और आपको यानी कि कोई हक हासिल नहीं है कि आप इस as was being said, that you develop a shared vision that is inclusive and in which people feel invested. And I think that remains, not just a question for this country, it remains a question for Bangladesh, it remains a question for India, it remains a question for all of these very diverse entities, nation-state entities, which frankly have a very short history. 70 years, or in fact in Bangladesh's case, 40-odd years is, in the relative scheme of things, compared to the fact that this is a region that was integrated, these ethnic and religious communities were never divided in these sorts of ways historically. And so we have to be able to, as she said at the beginning, recognize what our shared history is, and then recognize how in some ways we've tried to mangle it and make it conform to what sort of the imperatives of statecraft. And by the way, statecraft that is not very effective. या तो ये हो ना कि हम कहें कि जी वो statecraft ऐसा हुआ है कि हम बहुत ज़बरदस्त तरीके से कुछ बना पाए हैं और सब पुरअमन तरीके से रह रहे हैं, बल्कि it's I would say it's a failed nation building project, and it needs constant. And one of the ways to do that is to try and recover those histories of people who were positing alternative visions and alternative imaginaries of what this nation can be and how it could be inclusive. So we don't have a whole heap of time. If you would like to come back at something, or maybe we should go with people, and then we can... Ji, I'll take it in order as I've seen them.
Delegation from the Punjab University. So the question I really have for you is twofold. One was that the debate at that moment was, firstly, if a revolutionary change in terms of the principles of equality and fraternity, etc., which way would that revolution, how would that revolution take place? That was the first. And when we look towards Bhashani when he spoke, Bhashani said कि जहाँ तक वोट का सवाल है, वो कुत्ते की दुम के साथ आप लगा दें. This was his words. So he was not for elections. And that time the People Party was a rising tide and elections were there. Why did Bhashani sort of not come into the elections directly? Thank you.
Ji sir.
Excuse me. चीज़ ये है कि जो बुरा हंगामा, मैं सिर्फ एक सवाल करना चाहता हूँ कि अगर 40 का रेजोल्यूशन को आप आके पढ़े तो उसमें स्टेट्स है, इट इज़ नॉट स्टेट. मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि ये स्टेट किसने कही, ये ऐसा किसने उड़ाया और क्यों उड़ाया, सबसे बड़ा सवाल के लिए. और ये आज तक किसी ने नहीं उठाया ये सवाल, और ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट सवाल है कि साहब एस किसने उठाया, किसने निकाला एस को. अगर वो एस न निकलता तो ये हंगामे जो हमारे साथ हुए हैं ये शायद ना.
वो कहते हैं कि एक म्यान में दो तलवार नहीं हो सकते. मैं भी सज्जाद हूँ. तो सज्जाद साहब, बात यह है कि जो इंसाइट करवाई लैला, इट वॉज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, बट लेट मी टेल यू the seeds of Khan Abdul Samad Khan and Abdul Ghaffar Khan, they are flowering, and the affiliation of the right wing with PMLN, both the parties, both the Khan Samad Khan Achikzai, his son Mahmud Khan Achikzai, and Mr. Asfand Wali, they are both colliding with Mr. Nawaz Sharif. And it's a very, as Sajjad Sahab stated, ironic it is also ironic. So how do you see? Was that a failure, or have we searched a new way for us?
Assalamu alaikum. My question is from Aasim Sajjad. That as you said that we are sitting in Lahore, and why we not thought that कि सारा पाकिस्तान सिंध बलूचिस्तान सोचता क्यों नहीं कि पाकिस्तान एक हो जाए या पाकिस्तान एक ही है. So मेरा सवाल ये है इसमें कि जिसमें सारी पार्टीज तो बात कर रही हैं कि हम ये कर रहे हैं आवाम के लिए वगैरह वगैरह, तो आपकी जो पार्टी है उनका क्या नज़रिया है, और आप एक्चुअली मतलब कि हम आप पर बिलीव कैसे कर सकते हैं, या आपका किस तरह आप कह रहे हैं कि हम चेंज लाएंगे वगैरह वगैरह. मेरा बेसिक.
My name is Nawaz. This is one of the old tactics used by the establishment, or maybe more specifically by the army generals, that anyone who has a differing opinion from them is labeled as Ghaddar or Bimar, whether the generals were of 71 or the general of the day today. The fact is that they have been committing the acts of Ghaddar and Bimar, the Maghi Bimar. The voice has gone?
Quite possibly, yes.
Good. Protest works. I protested and they let it come. So the point is, what the people of Pakistan should do, that if the establishment labels somebody Ghaddar or Bimar, these two words should be returned back, smashed into their, that you are the one who are Ghaddar and you are the one who is Bimar. We just have an opinion which is different than you, and which I have, and which we have a legitimate right, legal and democratic right. Everyone has the right to have one's opinion. That is it. We have the right to differ. Thank you. So my question, what should we do?
And actually, you'll find that there is a lot of support for that kind of politics in left and liberal circles in Pakistan as well, for Sheikh Hasina, saying that she has effectively crushed the religious right, and finally returned Bangladesh into a secular state. Of course, developing and developing, etc. So where does kind of Bhashani's kind of politics, and has Sheikh Hasina been able to kind of accommodate that politics into her own vision? And just a small kind of brief question for Aasim, just your comments on this. Literally 4 days ago, Nawaz Sharif said that Muhibbe Watan Sheikh Mujibur Rahman ko in लोगों ने दीवार से लगाया और गद्दार बना दिया. Did he say that? Yes. 4 days ago.
That was headline.
And I wanted I wanted that reaction, and B, I wanted to know, does Nawaz's, and that's the tragedy of this country right now, is Nawaz the one who is right now kind of becoming the kind of center, because he's from Punjab, the historical center of the state, having this contradiction with the rest of the state? Is he the one who, will be kind of bringing change in this particular context?
Couple more.
So you have discussed so many things about the role of Maulana Bhashani. So sir, do you think so the role of Maulana Bhashani and his politics played a very significant role to take initiative which led towards the establishment of Bangladesh? Because we have read so many things, we have read in so many books the role of Bhashani since from the time of early classes. So do you think so his politics and his role and his initiatives to mobilize the masses of East Pakistan against the people of the West Pakistan, the initiatives were taken? So do you think so about that he played a very significant role which led toward the establishment of Pakistan?
Pakistan or Bangladesh?
Sorry, Bangladesh.
So how do you compare the
polarization in the current time and that of 1970s. And what will be the future of this polarization just now? And the second thing, I am just after you expert of sort. और दूसरा सर जो इस्टेब्लिशमेंट की जो मतलब आज तक जो मतलब बिहेवियर है, ठीक है, तो मैं भी उसकी रीज़न ये हो कि उन्होंने तारीख से कुछ सीखा हो. जिस तरह से सोवियत यूनियन जब वो पास हो रहा था अपनी क्रिटिकल टाइम से, तो वो ओपननेस लेके आ गए. तो सर अगर इस टाइम अगर हम यही करें, मतलब ओपननेस लेके आ जाए, जब हम क्रिटिकल टाइम से गुजर रहे हैं, तो हम में भी हमारी वही हाल जो सोवियत यूनियन का हुआ हो.
Okay, let's make sure that we get some answers in. If we have time, we can do another round.
I think one of the questions was why did Bhashani boycott the 70 elections? I think there was always for Bhashani the understanding that that elections in itself was an insufficient condition for revolution or for democracy itself. And we have to realize that and so for the boycotting of the elections was really on the understanding that provincial autonomy had been guaranteed for East Pakistan, then perhaps NAP in East Pakistan would not have boycotted the elections. But Bhashani realized that the demands for provincial autonomy were so great that he could not demand anything more beyond that, right? Or that he could not sort of dismantle Mujib's rise to power, right? If we think about what Mujib and Bhashani was demanding, Bhashani's demands were a lot more expansive. Mujib came up with 6 points. Bhashani came up with 14 points. And one of that was socialism, right? One of those. It is only when, so Mujib, and Bhashani was able to mobilize in such a number that even sort of got Mujib worried. When Mujib came out of Agartala, in 67, he went off to the roundtable talk. His first interview that he gave was to a Canadian newspaper. And he said the issue was not 6 points. That's negotiable. He said the issue is that we must crush Bhashani the traitor. So the problem was not that Bhashani didn't have ideas of how to think of or ways or strategies to think about revolution. It is that he could not, at that point, that those demands could not be made until provincial autonomy was guaranteed. I think the other question is how is Bhashani remembered in contemporary Bangladesh? Now, Bhashani can't be forgotten, right? In some senses, you have to acknowledge that he was the founder of Awami League, but that is a very, it is something that even Sheikh Hasina has to agree to, whether she likes it or not. So she will make her tributes on the death and the birth anniversary, but the politics of the Awami League is very different from the politics of Bhashani. And Bhashani is no longer, he has been excised from the books, from the textbooks. He's been excised from the archives. If you want to find material on Bhashani, you have to go to the special archives and you have to go through the back doors in order to get material on the Bhashani. And these materials are being destroyed because there is an issue where there is a difference between where Mujib stood and for the classes and constituencies that he stood for and which Bhashani stood for. Bhashani did not come to Dhaka. Bhashani was a man based in Tangali, in rural constituencies, and mobilizing those. Mujib, if anyone was the riverine, riverine leader of Bangladesh, that followed the topography of our landscape, that was Bhashani. It was not Mujib, who was more of a city leader. So how Bhashani is remembered is more in conspiratorial whispers. There are tributes that are made to him, but these are superficial, these are hollow, and those materials that remain around on Bhashani. But there's a problem with the left as well in Bangladesh. They continue to remember Bhashani, but there has been a retreat from those constituencies that Bhashani was once a part of. It is now, the left has made a retreat from these rural areas which Islamic parties or Islamist parties have taken over, and they continue, in some ways they use the language of Bhashani, but they are not the sort of, if anyone, all other parties in some ways pay a tribute to Bhashani in Bangladesh, but the only party that doesn't is Jamaat-e-Islami. Or the problem with the left is that it has retreated from the constituencies. It has retreated into the cities. It has retreated to the urban classes. It has retreated to the cityscape. So there's a problem with the Awami League, but there's a problem with the left politics that we practice in Bangladesh. I think the other questions were... How responsible was Bhashani for splitting Pakistan? I mean, I don't think the responsibility lies with Bhashani. If anything, I mean, if we consider the height of the movement we saw the Toba Tech conferences. So not only was he mobilizing masses in East Pakistan, he was also mobilizing constituencies in West Pakistan. If anything, we have to hold the leaders in the center responsible, and the demands that they're responsible for what has happened, or the fiasco or what happened in 71. I'm not suggesting that independence or liberation was not an inevitability for Bangladesh, but I'm suggesting that Bhashani is not the man responsible for what happened in 71. In fact, we have to look closer to sort of the West Wing. What was the West Wing of Pakistan in order to understand?
Yeah, I just put in my two pence on that. आप याया खान की हुकूमत से चेक करें, क्योंकि हुकूमत उनकी थी ना, भाषानी की तो नहीं थी या पीपल्स पार्टी की तो नहीं थी। हुकूमत तो जो हुकूमत ही होती है ना, जो कि कहती है, मिसाल के तौर पे उन्होंने इलेक्शन जीता, भाषानी ने तो नहीं, अवामी लीग ने। वो नेशनल असेंबली का सेशन, अक्सर लोग कहते हैं जी वो भुट्टो साहब ने कहा जी हम नहीं जाएंगे, वो ना जाते। सरकार तो नेशनल असेंबली का सेशन कॉल कर सकता था ना, लेकिन सरकार ने नेशनल असेंबली का ना सेशन कॉल किया। उन्होंने कहा जी नेशनल असेंबली भी नहीं होगी, बल्कि हम फौजें भेजेंगे और अगली बात फिर उसके बाद होगी। आई मीन दिस इज़ पार्ट ऑफ व्हाट आई एम सेइंग। ये इसलिए ये बहस बहुत ही एक तरह से सतही होगी, बिकॉज बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपने तो कहा था, बल्कि कि आपने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा हुआ है। आप तो फिर एक ऐसी मिसाल हैं जो कि अनयूजुअल है, बेशतर लोगों ने कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ा हुआ। एक सवाल यहाँ से आया कि जी 1940 की करारदाद, आपको पता है आज भी हमारी किताबों में लिखा हुआ होता है करारदाद पाकिस्तान। वो पाकिस्तान का लफ्ज़ उस करारदाद में कहीं भी नहीं था, करारदाद लाहौर था वो, लेकिन हम पढ़ते हैं करारदाद पाकिस्तान। तो अब ये भी नहीं पता कि जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं, जो तारीख़ हमें बयान की जा रही है, वो ऐसे ही था या बस ये जो इन्होंने जिक्र किया कि जी स्टेट्स का जिक्र था, स्टेट हो गया, ये किसने किया? प्रॉब्ली उन लोगों ने किया जिन्होंने बाद अज़ां कहा कि जी आइडियोलॉजी ऑफ पाकिस्तान भी कोई चीज़ है, क्योंकि वो उस वक्त तो नहीं थी। वो भी बाद अज़ां पता चला कि आइडियोलॉजी ऑफ पाकिस्तान है और वो नाकाबिले तरदीद है, और उस पर जो भी कोई आवाज़ उठाएगा वो XYZ है। Very briefly, because let me just try and do another, just very quickly, because we've been given a lot of signs. A lot of people have asked this question about the contemporary period. देखें, एक लिहाज से इससे ये साबित होता है कि ऐसा तो नहीं है कि 40-45 साल पहला वाला पाकिस्तान और आज वाला पाकिस्तान बिल्कुल एक ही तरह के हैं। Of course that would be quite preposterous to suggest that. And जो आपको इस वक्त ख़ास तौर पे ये जो पंजाब के अंदर एक कशमकश, और वो ज़ियाउल हक के बगल बच्चे जो है ना खुद उनके ख़िलाफ़ बात करते हुए नज़र आते हैं, that reflects change, right, of some kind. It reflects social change, it reflects change within how society itself, because these are people who are responding to people, they're not just talking on a whim. But I wouldn't vest hope in that political force. I would say that shows के contradictions, जैसे हम जो उस तारीख की भी हम बात करें तो we're part of that whole trajectory of how you go from a united Pakistan जिसमें भाषानी जैसा फर्द इतना मतलब है खुल के वो पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहा है, वो भले एक सोशलिस्ट पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहा है, एक फेडरल पाकिस्तान, लेकिन बात तो वो पाकिस्तान की कर रहा है, and how that very quickly metamorphoses into a national liberation struggle. But I can't at all suggest that the Noon League or Nawaz Sharif is in that same boat, because they're not committed. You see, it's like the Mujib example that Layli just offered, right? Nawaz Sharif is not committed to redressing class privilege. Okay, Nawaz Sharif does not necessarily talk about. I mean, यो मुजीब वाला हवाला पहली दफ़ा मैंने सुना है, but अगर आप उनकी अमली politics देखें, जो मैंने आपको जिक्र किया था, जो electorally they are a force in this part of the country, they're not a force in other parts of the. So I wouldn't suggest कि वो हम उनको, but ये ज़रूर हो सकता है कि ये जो गुफ्तगू है, ये जो बहस है, ये जो हर बंदे के ज़बान पे आजकल establishment का लफ्ज़ आ गया है, शायद जाने बगैर कि ये है क्या भला चीज़, लेकिन ये कि इससे बात तो मतलब गुंजाइश तो खुलती है ना इस तरह की गुफ्तगू होने की. And I think one of the points that this is all what I sort of suggested at the beginning is that history is a living organism, right? History is not some dead thing that we're just talking about because it happened and we want to just sort of lament it. But it's a living organism that continues to play out on a daily basis. How is it different or not? I mean, I'd say, like I said, the nation building project is just as stuttering and flawed as it was then. But there are others who offer alternative nation building projects. And the last thing I'd say is, an alternative nation building, I think an organization like NAP, like the National Awami Party, जो कि आप अगर थोड़ा सा ज़रा गौर करें, इस पे आपकी राय क्या है, वो एक अलग बहस है. उसमें पश्तून भी है, उसमें सिंधी भी है, उसमें बंगाली भी है, उसमें पंजाबी भी है, उसमें यानी कि where do you find a party in today's contemporary Pakistan jisme all of these ethnic groups are stakeholders? I'd say nowhere. It doesn't exist. It's not on the horizon. And that remains a fundamental challenge. And insofar as there is a progressive politics that copes with the real history of these societies and these states, I think its founding point must be that it brings people together. And that's a hard task, because इतनी मिसट्रस्ट है और इतना इसी बात पे कि आप पूरी हिस्ट्री मिटा देते हैं, तो ज़ाहिर है एक बंदा कहेगा कि जी मेरे लिए यानी कि मोहम्मद बिन कासिम हीरो है या राजा दायर हीरो है, या मेरे लिए औरंगज़ेब हीरो है या खुशहाल खान खटक हीरो है. ये एक सवाल है ना, और ये जायज़ सवाल है, ये हो सकता है, इससे कोई बंदा गद्दार नहीं बन जाता ये सवाल करके. लेकिन because those histories have been almost eliminated by the states, and Bangladesh, as you're suggesting, is no exception in some ways, it becomes hard to put together a politics that. But I would suggest Punjab is ready for that politics. I think Amar will talk about it in a separate session. Punjab probably has always been ready. There's in any given place there will always be potential for different types of politics. And Punjab में भी वो आज अगर भले नवाज शरीफ के ज़रिए ही सही ये एस्टेब्लिशमेंट की बात और ये सारी तारीख उजागर करने की बात बहरहाल मुमकिन है. Thank you again, Layli, for taking the time out. Thank you all. See you again.